Look here, it's now the final edition of Sports Overview Topics of 2023, it appears. Um, wow, the time has gone for this year, hasn't it? 2023, a fun throughout year of sports and everything involved. But gonna finish out the year strong, and next year plan to bring a new look and feel and vibe to the podcast, certainly. So, like I said, stay tuned. But as far as right now, so we got the picks going for NFL Week 17. Now, the regular season's almost over. So, man, that is something. Miller Moss, first, got to give the guy credit for USC. So, I have to rewatch, but just from the bird's eye view, Miller Moss, the quarterback from USC, because of course Caleb Williams, wasn't going to play in the bowl game. But boy, oh boy, did Miller Moss have a stellar, we could say, impression for all the teams or all the schools out in college world to campaign for a starting job if he is not the starter next year for USC. But yeah, what a job. 42-28 USC over Louisville. Louisville had a nice year this year, double-digit wins, obviously lost to Florida State in a tough game in the ACC championship, but still a heck of a job by Louisville this year. But yeah, Trojans, good job for Miller Moss. Number of quarterback changes for the NFL this week. So we'll start with probably the biggest as Jaren Hall. Jaren Hall, the late round rookie, I believe 6th round, BYU for the Vikings, who started a game earlier this year against the Vikings, and looked well in his early components of that game, but unfortunately got banged up. And then the Josh Dobbs experiment, did well against the Saints and the Falcons, but after that, and to a T against the Broncos, worked well, but after that, the momentum of Josh Dobbs and the Vikings really flushed away. So we'll see how Jaren Hall does this go around in a crucial game for the Vikings. Against Packers, Sunday Night Football in Minnesota, can still make the playoffs if they win out and get some help. But, this is a building block for Jaren Hall, certainly, because you don't know the status of Kirk Cousins, returning next year. Seems likely. they would from mutual sides to bring Kirk Cousins back. But if Jaren Hall can, muster out, the last couple games for the Vikings and they make the playoffs, potentially go on a run, potentially win a game, then solid building block for Jaren Hall. Now, thing to get to is Nick Mullins very easily could have, and the Vikings should have won the last two games, if you think about it. Or I'm just gonna say could have, because bypass the game-winning field goal, create a long one, but game-winning field goal against the Bengals in overtime, and then Nick Mullins throws that fourth pick when he didn't need to against the Lions on Sunday. So, goes hand in hand, but we'll see what Jaren Hall is made of this go around. For the Vikings. Although, unfortunately, they'll be without T.J. Hawkinson, as it was diagnosed that T.J. Hawkinson, who was having a career year, after being paid as the highest paid tight end, unfortunately suffered a torn ACL and MCL against the Lions on Sunday. I get why people were questioning, him being paid as the number one tight end. But at the same time, he was having a stellar year up until, he got hurt and very easily would have went over 1,000 yards, his first 1,000-yard season of his career. But yeah, that's a blow to the Vikings and their hopeful playoff hopes. The other guys, so Tommy DeVito, who was having some unique month for the Giants. So he got inserted into the Cowboys game. And, didn't do very well. But he tried what he could have. And then they went on a 3-game win streak. They were 5-8. Coming in with that win over Packers. Against the Saints, he's kind of overwhelmed by that very good defense of the Saints. And then against the Eagles, when they were kind of done on offense, but Tyrod Taylor was in, kept them in it. It was more defense and special teams that kept the Giants in that game, but you could tell the uplift of, that was in when Tyrod Taylor was in. So we'll see how Tyrod Taylor fares. Giants, based on last year, it's a quiver of emotions because, they made the playoffs, gave Daniel Jones that big contract, is not looked pretty on offense. 2-8, and then DeVito, that 3-game win streak, they have some momentum, some life, and then next thing you know, last 2 games have not been very smooth for the Giants, but we'll see if they can finish out this year strong. And then one that was certainly not a surprise, Jacoby Brissett. So, Sam Howell, last 2 games, was benched for Jacoby Brissett. And, we've seen it, the change is during the game, not by much, but, the whole offense as a whole, just been operating better the last couple weeks. They get down to these large deficits, and then Jacoby Brissett doesn't do a lot, but helps operate the offense better, and then gets in the game. And besides, Ron Rivera and that coaching staff it probably feels like with the new ownership that their backs are against the wall and that they got to do something to finish out the season strong, or at least on a high note, to help convince the ownership for the coach staff to remain to a T. So we'll see. But they got a tough task against a Niners team who's probably pissed about what happened Christmas night against the Ravens. So, with not getting too much more about it, although we'll go over some more of the scores of the bowl games in a bit. But let's go over picks. So, as you can see, 11-5 last week. So, pretty good. Solid week for picks on Christmas weekend. So, we'll see how week 17 fares out. Any week that ends... Wait, where did I put... I have the wrong sheet. That's week 15. Yada yada. Oh. That's what. Okay. Week 17. Okay. Let's go over it. So, starting off tonight for Cleveland Browns. So, unique scenario here. So, Browns win and they're in the playoffs. Simple as that. Clinched their second playoff berth since 2002, their first non-COVID playoff berth since 2002, which, would obviously be a great moment for Cleveland because, as I've mentioned before, there's not as many fans in that stadium when they clinch it over the. It was either the Steelers or the Ravens, but either way, it wasn't as big as a moment snapping that playoff drought, but this would certainly be a great moment for Cleveland, on Thursday Night Football, and especially for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, we know his story, was on the roster of the Jets for the last couple of years, was unsigned through the middle of the year, then was on the Browns practice squad, did well when Sean and DTR got hurt. It sucks for DTR, but Joe Flacco has done very well. Want to mention another name as well throughout this process. Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford, since Nick Chubb got hurt, now he's not as lightning as Nick Chubb, but he's picked up a nice season thus far. Spending time with Kareem Hunt, over 700 yards on the ground. So, heck of a job for him. The Jets, it was an uplifting win for them to get the job done against Commanders, although they had to kind of fight at the end, but, they're not going to get as many turnovers as they did. First, the Commanders, things kind of fell into place. So, still two of the best defenses. I'm going to go with the Browns here, 21-13. So, Browns barely cover, but still they do. They get the win. Yeah, goes there. I do want to mention, because people have talked about, not Jets not calling Flacco when he got earned this, that, they could be, much better if they call Flacco when Rodgers was hurt and, Zach Wilson was struggling. When you compare these teams, yes, both have top defenses. However, Browns have a better offensive line and better weapons, I feel, than the Jets do. So, just a better offense to be successful with for Flacco. So, to say he would have had the same success against or with the Jets, I don't think so. I think that's safe to say. Now, a key one, I think we can say on Saturday night, definitely a big one for both sides. Different scenarios. So, the Lions won their first division title in 30 years against the Vikings on Sunday. Now pivot to Dallas AT&T Stadium to play the Cowboys, in which Cowboys it's kind of a must win because if they lose, kind of feels like they're leaking into the playoffs. And then, this is a season where you want to be playing, time of season where you want to be playing your best. And they've been struggling the last couple weeks or to get on the better side of a W. You could say they did enough to win versus the Dolphins, but their defense, the last drive just couldn't get done. So I mean, this is a must win. 4.5 point favorites. The line has shrunk a little bit. But I just think, Cowboys do better at home. Lions just won the division. They can still win the 1 seed, but they need some help from either the Commanders this week or the Rams next week to beat the Niners, and we'll see. But off that motion of winning that game in Minnesota and going to Dallas when it's a must win for the Cowboys, I'm going with the Cowboys 27-20. Get it done now. Dolphins at the Ravens. This is basically for the 1 seed, we can say, in the AFC. The Ravens, huge victory over the 49ers on Christmas night. Now, a short week, they go back home, play the Dolphins. Ravens win, and they're the 1 seed. They got the bye. And Dolphins have to be worried about losing the division. So, I mean, this is tough. Now, last year's game, that was in Miami. And, this is a different story. In Baltimore. If I'm wrong, of course, the Dolphins burning me again. But I hate to pick against Lamar Jackson, just with the way he's been playing. Now, they have gotten breaks the last couple weeks. First the Jags and the Niners. But, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And Lamar Jackson is tough to game plan for him. It's just tough. So with that, I'm going with the Ravens to win and cover 27-23. Bills hosting the Patriots. Bills 13.5-point favorites. Patriots got another win for Bailey Zappi and Bill Belichick as they won on Christmas Eve night with a last-second field goal over the Broncos in Denver. And a game they basically almost threw away. They almost threw away. They were up 27 or 23-7. Should have been by more. But Chad Ryland, who would have been the GOAT if they lost, turned out to be the hero in the end. So, I mean, the emotions, Bills as well almost threw that game away first the Chargers, but they found a way to win. And this time of year, stacking the wins, getting in the playoffs as the 6th seed currently, they should have won that game in New England, but 12 seconds left. Mac Jones found a way to Mike Gesicki. Yeah, I'm going with the Bills, 27-21. Patriots cover, but Bills win. Josh Allen, has been playing better, over 40 total touchdowns this year. Again, don't let them in. Otherwise, they'll mess things up for a top seed in the AFC. This is an interesting game. Bears hosting the Falcons. Bears 3-point favorites at home. Bears are at one point this season swept them under the rug. And it's hilarious with the demise of the Panthers, how their season has been going. The Bears have managed to finish strong and yet still may finish with the number 1 overall pick next year in the draft. Falcons got an uplifting win over the Colts last week at home. Starting Taylor Heinicke. Wasn't pretty, but they got it done. But, now on the road, cold weather in Chicago, Justin Fields is really starting to show something again. And, against the Cardinals last week, back at home, yeah, I'm going with the Bears, 23-16. Going the Bears, going Fields. Divisional game, Titans at the Texans. Texans 3.5-point favorites at home. Now, it seems like C.J. Stroud will play after that concussion for the Jets a couple weeks ago. Definitely uplifter, as well as getting Nico Collins back from Sunday. There are 1,000 yards receiver for the season, so that's an uplift. Originally, because I didn't know if Stroud was going to play or not, with Stroud looking like he will play, I'm going to go with the Texans here, get it done, 2017. They know that the playoffs are close, because Jacksonville is teetering. Colts are, in a weird spot. So, the division is not that far off. But yeah, 2017, Texans win. Raiders at the Colts. Colts, speaking of the Colts, 3-point favorites at home. Raiders were the Grinch to the Chiefs on Christmas. Now they go to Indy. This is weird. Just weird. The Raiders can still win the division. If they win out, get some help, they can win the division. And Antonio Pierce, that win over Chiefs on Christmas, that was fun. Now, in order to beat the Colts, Aiden O'Connell is going to have more than 62 passing yards. That's one. Now, Samir White had some great runs in that game, especially the one at the end. Gonna check his status really quick or Josh Jacobs' status. So it seems like he did not play versus the Chiefs, and he's still absent from practice. And Michael Mayer being out also was not great. I'm going with the Colts here, although screw it. I'm going with the more confident team I'm in right now, and that is the Raiders. 2014, Raiders win in Indy. There we go. Jaguars hosting the Panthers. Jags 6-point favorites out. The Jaguars, it's odd because they're 8-3, looking tough. you look at the Chiefs now, and you're like, damn, this would be a real opportunity for the Jags to do better. And, again, they could have won against the Bengals in overtime. That didn't happen. And, could have won first the Ravens when you think about it, but that didn't happen. I mean, yeah, some issues. Some real issues. They should be a 10-win team, but they aren't. And the offensive line, which to a point was very good, it's not looking so. I mean, could definitely say they missed Christian Kirk because Calvin Ridley is very good, but he's not consistent. That's the issue. He's not consistent. Trevor Lawrence, he's very, very good, and we thought he was going to take a leap up from his stride from last year to end the season and win the division and the playoff game for the Chargers, but it's not been smooth. Travis Etienne, he had 1,000 yards last season. He has struggled a bit this season behind that O-line. The defense, besides Josh Allen and Tyson Campbell and Foyesade Oluokun, it's not great. So, I mean, issues all around for the team. Panthers, if they had been able to kick that field goal versus the Packers at the end of regulation and tied it, I believe they would have won. That's my take on the matter. Bryce Young, I will say, first time I saw him last week, did very well, and saw those glimpses of why he was a first-round pick, or the number one overall pick. Now, will he have a down game or a comeback game? We'll see. I don't know. I feel like the Jags need this more. Home favored. Trevor Lawrence, will he play? I mean, he's played through everything this season. So, he's obviously not going to be 100%, but I'm just going with the Jags here, 23-14. That's just gut feeling there. Rams at the Giants. Rams, 6.5 point, or I think it was narrowed down to, 6.5. But anyway, Rams favored on the road. The Rams are on a roll. And they know. I think they feel when healthy they can play with anyone in the playoffs. I mean, with that offense, Matthew Stafford, the role he's been on, Nakua, Kupp, Higbee, Demarcus Robinson, who had a hell of a game against the Saints, Kyron Williams, who's done a great job in his rookie year. And then on the defense, you still got Aaron Donald, but you have some young studs on the defense who have done well. Ernst Jones. I mean, all those guys on defense are carrying their own. So it's good to see. So I'm going to go with the Rams here, 21-14 on the road. Move to 9-7, and then, they could, I think, clinch a playoff spot, maybe, with a win. I have to check the scenarios, but yeah. Eagles, Cardinals don't have to spend a lot on this game. Eagles, think win 30-17, 12-point favorites at home. Kyler Murray, again, it's not pretty, but at the same time, he doesn't have a lot of weapons to work with on offense, like Trey McBride and his emergence this season. But, yeah, 30-17 Eagles. Buccaneers can win the division against the Saints on Sunday. 3-point favorites. Saints have been underwhelming. Bucks and Baker have been uplifting. So, yeah. Saints got to do something, but I picked against the Baker too much. So, 20-14, Baker gets done. Niners in Washington to take on the Commanders. 13.5-point favorites are the Niners. That was a bad loss for the Ravens. And some people are questioning to a T the Niners. And let's be honest, they were on a great roll. They had to be kind of humbled with how they've been looking. And yes, you can say the turnovers, but at the same time, I feel like they needed that if they want to go further to their goals in January and February. Jacoby Brissett, I mentioned, is going to start. But, too many times of starting, stop, and then I'm just going to go with the Niners. That defense, everything, 35-20. Niners win. This is kind of a semi-playoff game, if you think about it. Seahawks hosting the Steelers. Mason Rudolph and the Steelers had that great performance against the Bengals last Saturday. Now they go to Seattle. Seattle's had 2 late comebacks to get the job done against the Eagles and the Titans. When they were struggling, now, like you said, time to play your best football and, find ways to win. And certainly look like a playoff team again. So, I'm going with the Seahawks in a close one, 24-20 over the Steelers. This is now different. Broncos hosting Chargers. I gotta see how much the line has changed because one quarterback I didn't mention, Jarrett Stidham. Yes, Jarrett Stidham will be starting for the Broncos the rest of the season. So it originally was 5 points favored. Now it's 3.5. Here's the thing. When this weird because Stidham we know can bring it. You know, last year when Derek Carr was benched for Stidham at the end of the year, you know, he had a great game for the 49ers. Ultimately, they lost, but still had a great game. Here, he's playing for the Broncos, and it's a weird thing because both are not high-scoring teams, especially now that Herbert's out for the season. However, I did like what Easton Stick did to a T last week. So, I mean, it's tough, but I'm going to go with now. I'm going with the Chargers on the road. 21-17 over the Broncos. Bengals at Chiefs. Chiefs. Gotta see about the line. Shit. Now 6.5 for the Chiefs. So Jake Browning versus Patrick Mahomes. Both had bad games this weekend. You know, we can see the mess in the Chiefs. Jake Browning had a not so thrilling game versus the Steelers, so we'll see how both offense rebound. I'm going to go with the Bengals here. I don't know, just have a weird feeling with how both teams are looking right now. 24-17, Bengals win. And then Sunday Night Football, because there's no longer Monday Night Football this season. Packers at the Vikings. Vikings 2-point favorites at home. Now Jordan Hall, you know, for a sec I thought it was Monday Night Football because I got nervous with that role of underdogs for Monday Night Football, but this Sunday Night Football, you know, it's not going to be a high-scoring game, but I'm going to go with team I'm more confident. The Vikings 24-21. There you go. So those are my picks. We'll see. So we shall see. NFL Week 17. So the finalists for the 2024 NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame have been announced. So let's get into them, where Antonio Gates, I think, was the only first-year eligible player that made a... Well, Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers and Antonio Gates, the only first-year eligible to be finalists. So there you go. Well, we got Eric Allen, former defensive back of the Eagles, Saints and Raiders before my time, but yeah, still see footage of him, and he's a solid quarterback from back in the day. Jared Allen, saw plenty of footage of him, certainly, during my starting of watching NFL football. Once again, another year as a finalist. Will he make it in? We'll see. Willie Anderson, offensive lineman of the Bengals and the Ravens. Jari Evans, a unique name as well. Another guy I've seen who was a good stalwart of the Saints for many years. Dwight Freeney, fan favorite. Certainly bounced around a bunch of teams at the end of his run, but was still solid for mostly the Colts. So, yeah. Antonio Gates, like I said, first year eligible. Either way, he's going to make it. Of course, couple Patriots final, or actually only one. Will Fork was a semifinalist, but Rodney Harrison, the only former Patriot finalist of, technically you could say Fred Taylor, but yeah, he's more of a Jaguar in I think everyone's eyes. But yeah, Rodney Harrison, Devin Hester, who I think should get in, does not get enough love for what he did as a returner, special teamer, etc. Torrey Holt, we know the story there. Andre Johnson, he certainly will get in, just not yet, but it would be interesting for the Texans to have someone in the Hall. Certainly. Julius Peppers, I mentioned, mostly as a Bear, but did a very stout job with the Packers for a couple years, and then spending time with the Panthers was very solid at the end of his playing run. Fred Taylor, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis again is there, and Darren Woodson. So those are the finalists. The Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll see. Like I said, there's one guy that I believe should get in and I want to see in is Devin Hester. The job he did being electric on special teams, I mean, not sure what to say. And if I had to pick a guy that is first year eligible out of Antonio Gates and Julius Peppers to get in, it's tough, but I'd go with Peppers. Again, if one had to get in out of the two, and both of them deserve it to get into all, but we'll see. So, as I mentioned, we had some more bowl games throughout the last couple of days, and we'll go over. I'll say hope for the best for Lauren, who unfortunately had an incident. He took some dog bites to the lacerations to hit his head and his hand, and he's out for a while. But hopefully he gets okay. The Russell Wilson situation, I'll say this. He was playing good this year. Look, last year there were expectations. He under-delivered. Could say that was Daniel Hackett. Could say that was him, etc. This year with Sean Payton, he's done better. The team has done better. But the expectations and, the money clause, especially when now it seems like maybe they won't make the playoffs. I mean, they could still win out and with some help get it done, but I don't know. Tulane took out Virginia Tech 41-20 in the Military Bowl. Tulane, last year they beat USC at a thrilling bowl game finish. This year they took another. West Virginia, took out the Tar Heels 30-10 in the Mayo Bowl. Mayo Bowl. Excuse me for my weird pronunciation, but the Mayo Bowl. So there you go. And then, as I mentioned, USC with Louisville. Oklahoma State won. Although Texas A&M gave them a fight at the end, 31-23, but Oklahoma State just overpowered. And yeah, they finished 10-4. Still for the Cowboys, good finish for them. Texas A&M failed to 7-6. And then Boston College, heck of a job for them. Won 23-14 in the Fenway Bowl. Finished above 500. 7-6 goes them. SMU, still a decent season at 11-3. Or a solid season. Now they go to the ACC, so we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had on the docket for today, guys, for the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoy the games tonight, bowl games. Arizona, Oklahoma. That should be a fun one. Oh yeah, almost forgot. Picks. So for college football playoffs, which are semifinals, are Monday. So New Year's Day. So really quick. So let's see. So the odds. So currently, Michigan is a minor favorite at 1.5. Interesting. So Texas, Washington. See about the odds there. So I'm gonna go with Michigan. You know, it's a unique game. You know, with Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, he's not played his best football the last number of weeks, but as a team, you know, they're finding ways to win, whether it's the run game, their great defense. Still have solid receivers, but, you know, with Alabama, it's been weird. You know, it's been weird because, you know, they had that big shot to win at Auburn in a dogfight, and then they controlled Georgia, but Georgia managed to make it a one-score game. They're just weird this year. I mean, to find ways to win, but just been weird. I mean, I'd say 24-20 Michigan. I don't know. It just has the feeling of a gritty game, certainly. And then Texas, Washington. I was wrong about Oregon being Washington, although they did do their best to come back. But, you know, Washington, they had a stellar run this year. You know, undefeated. You know, keep finding ways to win, whether it's Utah, Washington State, Oregon, you know, Oregon State, you know, find ways to win against these solid teams. Now they play Texas. Texas, you know, in a way, Texas, I think people believe is better or are better than Oregon. You know, what the trenches, offensive, defensive line. It's obviously going to be a question of can they get Michael Penix Jr. And, you know, how will I expect the offense to deliver. You know, Quinn Ewers, C.J. Baxter, Xavier Worthy, their wide receivers there. I see this as probably 31-26 Texas. But, I mean, we'll see. It's going to be a fun one. Certainly. But, yeah. I have Michigan and Texas in the national championship. So, we'll see. But, yeah. Quick predictions there. Subscription box there. Subscribe, notification bell. Like button over here. Leave a like button. Smash that like, thumbs up. Thank you guys all. See you guys next time in the new year. But thank you guys all. Be safe. Peace.